Hello, and welcome to Leading Inspired Learning, a Strive podcast.
Hi, I'm Allie. I am the host of Leading Inspired Learning, a Strive podcast, and I'm so excited to welcome London Children's Museum in the house.
Hello.
Welcome. So we have Vanessa and Jessie. I'll let you introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us to chat about all things play in the museum. So excited to talk.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I'm Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Director of Visitor Experience and Exhibits at the Children's Museum.
And I'm Jessie Collins. I'm the Director of Education at the Children's Museum. So what do those things mean? In our ECE world, we don't have directors of exhibits and education. What do those things mean?
Yeah, great question. What do they mean? So for me, I help design and create the exhibits as they exist today. And as we make decisions about changing things over or adding things or taking things away, that's sort of my area of expertise. As well as just in general, what's the visitor experience when they're walking through the door? So how are our staff interacting with people? What kind of toys and consumables do we have available for people to do? What kind of programs? That's my job in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm an Ontario certified teacher. So I am in charge of all of our programming related to schools. So whether that's field trips to the Children's Museum, our programs direct in schools. We have partnerships with our local school boards for that. Yeah. And then also programs like museum, school, things like that. And I also have the Discovery Lab, which is one of our exhibits that's heavy programming focused.
Yeah.
I'm also in charge of that space. So kind of like a maker space mixed with an art studio, mixed with woodworking. So yeah, depending on the day, you could get a huge range of programming in that space. It's such a cool space. Yeah. I mean, the whole space is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had a lot of work over the last couple of years because you've been in your new home now for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, officially January of 2025 we opened. We did start with some soft openings in December, but yeah, we are a little more than a year in. So.
And how do you feel a year in?
We feel great.
Yeah.
We're so excited. Everybody has been loving it. We are tired.
Yes.
Because it has been a lot of change and a lot of little visitors through the space, which is amazing. So
yeah, it's rapid growth all at once. So while it's I simultaneously can believe it's been a year and can't believe that it's been a whole year.
Maybe the longest year of your
life.
So the shortest.
And also,
yes. Yeah. It's rapid growth, so much change, also so much excitement wrapped into all of it, and so much work, right?
So much work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine. I mean, the old space on Warrencliffe was beautiful and it had its place. But if you haven't been to the new space yet, you just have to see it to believe it. It's so incredible.
Mm-hmm. The old space has a spot in all of our hearts.
Of course.
Yeah. But the new one's it has some of that charm still.
It does.
And also has some things that we always wanted to do there that we maybe couldn't, right?
Absolutely. And I also love that, the old space, but being so across so many levels, it almost, I know when I went with my children, almost felt like we can only tackle a level at a time. Whereas this just feels such a natural flow through the spaces, and you can, linger in certain areas or you can move along to other, it feels like there's such a great flow where that flow is a little disjointed in the last space.
Yeah, there was definitely some just physical limitations of that space, right? Being in an old school, so much of it was hallways and staircases and offices. So there's definitely just been much more flexibility in terms of what we can do all on one floor with that one mezzanine level.
Yeah.
It's really great.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. We had a educator play night at the museum back in the fall. And honestly, it was one of my favorite PLs we did last year. We had over 100 educators come out and play.
Amazing.
And I think that we often, as early childhood educators and care providers, we forget the importance of ourselves enjoying play.
Mm-hmm.
And the museum just immediately evokes that. At least I feel like it evokes that in you. It was interesting, though. We had we ask for folks, reflective feedback to reflect in their practice, impact change at every PL they do. And one person wrote on reflective feedback, would have been good to have some play prompts. And we looked at each other and we're like, the whole place is a play prompt. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But I think as educators, we're so used to having to set up very specific invitations and provocations that it's hard to look at your entire space being an invitation and a provocation, which the Children's Museum is.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting. We do try to like steer away from giving directions about how to interact with spaces and what you should be doing in each space, especially as the whole place is an invitation and children really know what they're doing in there and if you're following their lead. But yeah, it's funny to have that adult comment. We do definitely ask our staff to think about setting up invitations to play as they are resetting exhibits. So we are careful to think about, we're not just putting blocks away in a container. We maybe build half a tower and see what that provokes.
And so when you were creating or part of creating this new space, I know that being child-led and child-centered and really highlighting the voice of the child was important in your process. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I can start. So yeah, there was lots and lots of different ways that we went about doing it. So obviously, like, it would be difficult just to ask children, hey, what do you want the new children's museum to look like? So we definitely needed to be a little bit creative about how we were gathering that kind of feedback. So while we were still open at Warrencliffe, we would set up areas where we could start gathering some feedback. So we sort of knew that we were going to have this community roots exhibit, but we didn't know necessarily like what kind of buildings or houses or what kind of stuff was going to be in there. So asking children, where do you visit in your community? Can you draw a picture of the places that you like to go? When you think of London, what do you think of? And getting feedback and sort of the way about how they visualize their community and how they see their community existing helped us to decide, we need to have a school and we need to have a market, and making decisions that way. We also did dream camps where we'd have like a whole day set aside to just like big brainstorming, focus groups, surveys. Like, as much as we wanted children's voices, we also wanted to hear from the adults that are coming. What do they need from the Children's Museum? And then talking to like specific communities, so people who maybe have children and who use wheelchairs or have adults in their family that use wheelchairs or have different disabilities. Talking to people specifically about, what can the Children's Museum provide for you so that you can have a positive experience.
And that process has been iterative too. Like, we're continuing to do that. We're continuing to take feedback from visitors, even provide more opportunities for children to contribute to this space as well. Like, we just painted a big chalkboard outside of our Discovery Lab space because we noticed that, at Warrencliffe, we had a couple spots where kids could, write things or draw things that was kind of embedded in the exhibit. And so we were working to also add those things back in. And just looking at the space as ever evolving, right? With the needs of the community, with our needs. Just looking at it as like a collaborative thing. It's always changing.
Always changing. I mean, children are always changing.
Yeah.
And there's such diverse population in our community that I think it would be, at anyone in an early years program, a Children's Museum, anywhere in early on family centers, to be like, okay, it's perfect, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, that just never, we're never done.
No, we're never done.
And that lifelong learning attitude, right? It's like learning together from each other, right? And the space needs to be reflective of that too. So it should also be evolving within limits, right?
Yeah. Was there anything that was creating the new space that once it was there, you were like, ooh, we messed up there?
We've changed some things. I feel like the best example of that is maybe the rope swings.
We had some rope swings and
in the treehouse.
Okay. That sort of, they swung out into sort of a thoroughfare of the museum. So we learned pretty quickly that maybe that wasn't. And like, to be honest, we sort of, the way they were hung, we sort of thought of them as vines. So what we were imagining the play to look like was more climbing across them rather than swinging out. But yeah, you never know for sure how people are going to use space until they use it. So that was one where like, maybe not these ones. But
so those are no longer branching out.
There's still tons of great things.
Great.
But yeah, okay, that makes sense. Again, I think it happens to all of us as educators, as early years professionals. We think, oh, this is going to be a really, really great invitation. It's going to meet their needs. They're so interested in this. And then you set it up and it flops.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, missed the mark there. Like, let's pivot. I think that's such an important skill for the early years. It's just, things are never how you picture it's going to go.
And sometimes it's like going with how it is being used, even if it's different than what we originally thought, right? I'm trying to think of a good example of that in exhibits.
I think one thing I can think of in exhibits is we have the FarmWorks exhibit, and we really imagined the food in that space moving sort of like fluidly between the market or the homes. And at first it wasn't really. It's like it was fed to the pigs. It ended up in all kinds of funny spots, but there wasn't that connection until we added a wheelbarrow. And then that little change was enough to kind of, we can move the food into this space. So sometimes it's like these little tweaks, just adding something small that can sort of prompt the idea.
Yeah. And like even in the education programs that comes up where it's like, okay, now we're going to design a program where we ask them, take food from the beginning of its journey to the end consumer, right? And so we're not saying take it from the farm and take it to the restaurant. Yeah. But you're essentially saying that, right? By saying like, let's follow the food, and how many different ways can we do that? So it shows up in the exhibit design differently than it does in the ed programs, but it's essentially the same concept, right?
Yeah, you're just exploring it on deeper levels. Or a variety of levels depending on the groups. It's so interesting. How do you find your youngest visitors interact with space? So like infant toddlers.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We talked a little bit, should we have like a dedicated space? Like a lot of children's museums have an exhibit for early years. And because we see so many families with kids of multiple ages, we knew that that wasn't going to be our approach. So we did try to embed spaces within each exhibit where like this is a spot you could put a baby down and they could interact with things. So in branching out, we have a soft flooring corner where you can like really comfortably sit, and there's books and there's soft animals and toys there. Or in our community roots exhibit, we're working on building this out a little bit more, but in the wellness center, there's sort of a back area where it's, a safe spot to place your baby down if you need to. But we do still continue to offer early years play dates twice a week. So adding stuff into our auxiliary spaces specifically designed for our youngest visitors has been really helpful.
Yeah. I imagine the water play, stream is a very high interest for especially your sensory seeking toddlers. And I know that was thought of. It appears to me from a no museum understanding, but a child understanding of the multi-levels and the multi-ways to engage with that, because especially in the toddler years, we know that sensory seeking is so important.
Yeah, we definitely were very intentional to make sure that the stream gets low enough that as soon as you're walking, you can get your hands in there without an issue.
For sure.
And then there's lots of stools and ways to get up higher if you want to. But we definitely tried to think of each age range that we see in each space. So when we were designing it, where are the babies in the space, where are the toddlers in the space, where are the school-age kids, and then where are the, like tweens that are here with siblings, and what's their role here, and what can we provide for them as well.
And then what about the adults? So the idea is that as a parent, I come and play with my children. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah. Yes. And sorry, I shouldn't have stopped at tweens. I meant to, and the adults. So, you'll notice in our wellness center, the dentist chair comfortably fits an adult. Or in the cafe, there's seating for adults as well as children, so that adults are not just there's not just space like a bench outside for them, but there's space integrated into the pace place so that, they're ordering food from their children, or they're getting their dentist checkup.
They're sitting in the paleontologist tent. Yeah. And honestly, I see so many grownups at the big water sculpture in Stream where you can put a ball in and it rolls down that little ramp and then gets shot up, right? And usually once the kids realize how it works, then the adults are like, hey, how did you do that? And then I see the adults going to get a ball to try it themselves, right? And that's part of the fun. I love it when you can see a kid discover something and then get so excited that they're either going to tell their adult or naturally their adult's coming over because they're like, hey, what'd you find? That they can hear the excitement, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like the kid becomes the one who's then teaching the adult how it functions, right? So we see that a lot in stream, especially, I find.
I immediately, like when we came to set up for the play night, we brought our stuff to the back. So stream is right at the back there. And I immediately went to do exactly that, put the ball and pop it out. And the squeal that came out of me, I think is equivalent to what you hear with the children. I think Indira has it, said she has it on camera. But it was just like immediate joy. It is so fun.
It's so fun.
But it is interesting. I noticed at the play night too, it was all adults, all educators, and we had a really hard time figuring out how the corn works. And at one point I thought, we need a kid here. We need a child here. They would know what to do. We don't know what to do here. A child would know what to do here. And I think you're so right that it's so incredible that it goes both ways. And that it is inviting the adults who are there with the children to play with them.
And to take on that learner stance, right? You teach me something, I'll teach you how to do something, right?
Yeah. And sometimes like finding the balance, like it's okay for somebody not to know how something works as the invitation to test it out and see what you can figure out, work together. And
I think that's what children do so much better than us as adults is they just trial and error. Whereas an adult's like, oh, I want to know how to do that before I attempt it. Whereas children have no qualms with just like, let's throw this in here and see how this works. They're in there. You can learn so much from them. Gosh.
And like to really understand how the corn system works requires two people kind of, unless you're just going up and down the stairs by yourself. But there's a talking tube there. So if you're upstairs and you're sending balls down that shipping, the person who's downstairs at the under the talking tube is the one who can see them coming through. So
Teamwork.
Little detective.
I love that. So what do you think your biggest learning was in designing the space and how the environment affects the play?
That's a good question.
I feel like the thing that we keep talking about is observation. I feel like it's been something that we were doing at Warncliffe for sure, but I feel like we're doing it on such a larger scale at Kellogg. I just find we, because everything was new and because we were unsure how it was going to be used, it put more emphasis on us needing to observe the play and maybe not respond in the moment, but kind of take note and as a team respond by, making adjustments to exhibits, adding things in, taking things out when needed. So I feel like that's maybe the one that comes to mind, maybe not something that we necessarily weren't doing before, but just on a much smaller scale. And now it's kind of at the forefront. It's like we want to make sure we are meeting the needs of the community just like we wanted that at Warncliffe. But now it's just a different take because we have these new exhibits, new programs, bigger team, even more visitorship. Like our visitorship has grown.
I was going to ask that too. Have you seen an increase?
Oh, yes. I think at Warncliffe, we were at like 80,000 to 100,000 visitors a year. In our first year, we were 200 and
over 250,000
visitors. So it's a big change, big growth.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You obviously created a space that attracts that type of visitorship. So kudos to you and your team. For sure. That's incredible.
Our best guess when we were going into the first year was like 150,000.
And it felt like huge. Generous. Like, wouldn't we be doing well if we had So, it's been great. It's definitely a much different, like, as we were talking about before, the layout's a lot different. So just getting to understand the way people are moving through the space. Sorry. Has been, something that we've had to, like, observe. And do we need to adjust, like, where our staff are standing, how we're answering questions.
The needs in the new building, because at Warncliffe, a little
bit different.
We were on our own, right? Like we were a solo organization in a solo building, and we were surrounded by like a neighborhood
And a river.
and a river. Yeah. So whereas in Kellogg, like
You've got neighbors.
we have neighbors, we have the factory, we've got restaurants, we've got all kinds of other stuff in the building. So that also changes things a little bit for us as well.
Absolutely. It's becoming quite the destination there now with the hotel and the building too and everything. I think that you've created quite a buzz for yourself on a larger scale than just London community, because it's definitely attracting folks from all over to experience.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, it's nice to have like all of those partners. Like, you know, you can stop and get something to eat. You know, you can spend some time at the factory. You can also spend time at the Children's Museum. There's sort of something for everyone in the space, which has been amazing. Yeah.
I noticed on social media you have a new mural. I haven't seen it in person yet. Do you want to share a little about the new mural?
Yes. So Jackie Comrie is an amazing mural artist. She works out of Toronto. She's got young kids herself. And her approach is really, really cool. She thinks a lot about how color affects our mental health and our feelings. So she spent a lot of time with us just asking questions about how we feel in this space. I know she had family come and visit and she got feedback from them. We asked some of our visitors, you know, like, how are you feeling here? Particularly in the space where her mural is, it sort of looks over our eating area. And especially as like our first year, it can be quite busy. We wanted to create sort of like a sense of calm. So she's chosen some colors that sort of bring together like calm, but also joy and curiosity, and like melded them together into this really beautiful abstract piece.
It's gorgeous.
Yes.
I loved watching the evolution of the team did a great job documenting. So I was following along on social media, and I haven't seen it in real life yet.
Yeah, and it was so cool. We have a closure week every week in September. So that was an option for her, but she really wanted to do it while we were open so that she could answer questions and show off the process. And it was amazing to have her working in the space.
Yeah.
We didn't.
That's so cool. What is something that you think kind of not transfers, but extends to what you've created and the play that is obviously centrally important to the London Children's Museum? How do you think that could transfer? What lessons for educators who are maybe potentially struggling with their environment or struggling with setting out opportunities to play, or maybe engaging in play themselves? What is something that you think could help support folks in childcare in early years?
We do a little bit of that in the school program. So the in-class programs, it kind of removes one essential element of the Children's Museum, which is our environment, right? Like our field trips, our public programs are all very centered on the space, the environment, right? That we've created that's so immersive and so different and has all kinds of wonderful things that naturally evoke these playful things that we've been talking about, right? In our in-class programs, we are taking our programming into school environments. So we're basically removing that aspect of the environment, that immersive environment that the Children's Museum has, and we're trying to bring like the core of our play-based values into the classrooms to just enhance what they're already doing, right? We're bringing materials that maybe they don't have access to normally, things like that. So in those programs, all I am focused on is, secondary curriculum for sure. Like I have to do that as the teacher on staff. But really what I want to do is just evoke play. So however that can happen in your space, like that's great. Yeah. Like, and sometimes it looks different than how we would want it to look. Like we have parameters like, okay, you can only have this portion of your walls covered, right? Things like that, right? You can't hang things from the ceiling, right? So sometimes it's working within those confines and getting really creative. And I find our most successful in-class programs that are evoking more of that environment feel are the ones where we are getting super, super creative with how to build that environment in kind of a blank space.
Right.
And sometimes that can be by like having things that are physically larger. So like our functional frameworks program, we start with like little sticks and manipulative called sticklets. They're like these little silicone connectors, basically.
Cool.
And you can build 3D structures. So we do that, but then we introduce them to these big 4-foot dowels so that they can build a structure that they can actually go inside of.
That's fun.
Yeah. So that's like creating an environment in a way, but definitely not to the same scale as the children's museum, right? And on like in our kindergarten programs, it's bringing like big buildable bone sets. So I feel like it's just getting creative and using your space in a different way than it normally is. Because I feel like I also supply for our local school board.
Yeah.
So, you know, you get into a routine of how you use your space and sometimes eliciting that environment feel, that novelty feel in your classroom environment. You just be using it differently than you normally do. And that makes it special. It's kind of like picnic lunches. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, we're going to have a picnic lunch. And really you're just putting out a blanket and you're eating at the carpet instead of at the tables. But that elicits something different. So yeah, it's kind of, I guess, creativity would be my biggest, I don't know.
Yeah. Advice.
Encouragement. Yeah. Where it's like using your space differently than you normally would have. Maybe that means making the stuff bigger, sometimes tinier too. You know?
Well, and I also think too, you know, we are experiencing a high level of educator burnout in the early years.
Yeah.
It's a really hard job.
Yeah.
And it can be really easy to get into a bit of a like rut.
Yeah.
And you can kind of forget how much your space and what you're offering, your invitations can do for the children, but also for yourself.
Yes.
Because, you know, as a child, I remember, you know, it was raining for like a week straight and we were all so sick of the rain. And then one night we were just crawling into bed and my mom was like, put your rain boots on, we're going puddle jumping. And it was one of my best childhood memories of just like my brother, my mom, and I out jumping in the puddles in the rain. And instead of hating the rain because it had been raining for so long, we were like, oh, this is fun. And I think I love that advice of just like get creative with your space. I think it can become monotonous or mundane the everyday, and you're in your space all day, every day for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it can just, that's where that goes and that's where that goes. And instead just like, oh, what if we flipped it on its head today? What if we just did something totally different, like for my own joy and excitement, but also, you know, for the children?
I think the other thing I think that we try to do is like listen carefully about where children's interests are. So I know like we ask our staff to like, if you've been asked an interesting question, let us know so that we can kind of like respond to where those interests are coming from. Like it's so much easier to introduce content about something if the interest is coming from the children. So if they're like super into dinosaurs or, you know, insects or these kind of things, following those themes and just providing the opportunity for the children to ask the questions and then get their own answers. It's a great.
It is for sure. And I definitely think that, you know, we might have in childcare and early years world have the upper hand on that situation because we get to have the children every single day on repeat.
Yeah.
Whereas you're in the museum, and that would be similar to what I think our family center and early on staff would experience is they might not have the same children every day or every day or whatever that looks like. So you're gathering these interests and wanting to implement something, but those specific children might not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you really have to, you're asking them broadly and picking out the themes as you see them arise, but you do see them arise. You see people playing the same games in the same areas, and that might trigger a response to like add, you know, if people are trading leaves as money and branching out, maybe we need to add, you know, different color leaves or that kind of thing to help support the play that it's already happening there.
For sure. And I think that ties back to your comment about like the observation and really taking time to notice those things and that are happening and then be able to respond and act on them.
Yeah.
You mentioned that one of the Children's Museum's core values is play. And I think that's evident in this because it evoked me wanting to immediately play and stream. So I fully get that. But how do you see that on all levels?
So, we take a really broad approach to it, right? Like if somebody is playing, they are learning. But that doesn't mean there's not opportunity for us to like follow a curiosity and offer the opportunity to learn something specific or to pick up some content. So we talk a lot about play opportunities existing sort of across a spectrum of play, whereas at one end, it's really open-ended, it's free play, there's no specific instruction. And then on the other side, it's closer to our education programs where they're like playful and playful learning, but there's maybe more curriculum attached to them, and that can sort of exist all across the line. So we try to make sure that there are opportunities for children who are curious to learn more about science or history, about, you know, how the world works. There's opportunity for them to follow that interest and gain that experience, but also know that if somebody is coming in and they are just interested in, you know, an imaginative play experience and they're building like social and emotional skills, that is also an equally successful visit at the museum. And I think we also look a lot at the types of play. So what, like, you know, is there an opportunity to play imaginative play? Is there an opportunity for just, you know, cause and effect, building and knocking down? Are there sensory experiences available? So making sure that there's opportunities across that spectrum of play from like open-ended to more specific, as well as all the different types of play that we might see children engaging in different parts of their development or interest of that day or headspace. So
Yeah, and those types of play might show up differently in the different exhibits too. Like some of them are definitely more geared towards like one type of play. Like you're going to see a lot of like social play in the like little town section, right? Like that's going to be a lot of social play versus like sensory in the dig pit, right? So some of them are geared more towards one type of play. We try to provide like within those exhibits other opportunities for different types, but some of them definitely like stream is going to lean way more to like sensory experiences with the water table, right? And I think our programs also reflect that. So our EY Playdates, for example, there's going to be a range of different things to do in that space. And if a child or a family together is only engaged in the active play stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll show up in our ed programs too, but on a smaller scale as you go up in the grade levels and we see more adult, not intervention, but like more adult guidance on the play or more adult structure, if you will, versus our kindergarten programs, which would lean more open-ended play.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite space in the museum?
I go back and forth a lot. I think it's branching out.
Yeah.
I love the rope bridges. I love there's like some calm areas, but there's also opportunity for something, you know, a little bit scary.
A little dark in some of those
spots.
The hidden collection items.
Yeah. That's my favorite.
That's your current.
That's my favorite.
Ask again next week.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think mine is Unearthed, like the dinosaur cave section. Twofold. I loved watching the process of those caves being built.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yes, it was just absolutely fascinating to my science brain. I just loved watching the team from Rocks Caves do that work. It was amazing. Yeah. And also my own children love the caves and the paleontology tent. There's like the micro eye. It's like a digital microscope. There's just so many aspects in it that like pull me to that space. So I think mine's Unearthed.
Yeah. I mean, my own play was Stream for sure because it was just like the most fun. My kids both have memberships and my daughter is 2 and she is obsessed with the moon. Obsessed. So she was in full astronaut and loving the outer space area the last time because she obsessed. If the moon is not out, when there's clouds covering it, she's devastated because she can't say goodnight to the moon.
Has she been in the Star Lab?
I don't think we've done the full star show with her yet.
Because one of the features on our digital Star Lab is that you can fly to the moon and land on the moon.
So cool. And the star shows still, we did a couple star shows at the play night, and they are so cool.
So fun. Yeah.
The staff and educators, who call them, I don't know what their titles are, they're educators there, did such an incredible job. And for and you know, she seemed like a really young and energetic staff member who did it for us, but did it exactly how she would have if children were in the space, even though it was all adults. And it was just like, yeah, thank you. Like you are continuing the exact point we're trying to make on this educator play night, because it doesn't matter the age of the person, we all play, and so she just did a phenomenal job, and it was the coolest thing. And the way that blew me away.
Yeah, it's an interesting skill set too from our staff, and I'm sure you see it in the family centers and things like that. It's different when you're an educator and you're constantly around adults as well as the children, because you know, when I'm in a school setting, I like, it's me and maybe one or two other adults in the room, but then it's mostly like you and the kids, right? Versus at the museum, it's like when I'm teaching an ed program, there's always like between 5 and 15 other adults in the space. So it's just a different experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is interesting for us as educators to analyze kind of like, are we different when there are other grownups in the room, and what, you know, insecurities do we have? I know we're doing a karaoke night just to get folks comfortable with singing, because we're seeing less and less singing in programs. And it's a skill, whether you're in front of adults or children. You need to be able to just sing. It's okay if you're not good, but you just need to sing. And I think that's so interesting that, the Children's Museum, they're always there with a family or caregiver in some capacity. So you're never responsible for the children the way we are in childcare, but you're still responsible for their play experience.
Yeah.
Which is different layers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the staff team are really incredible, and they all have sort of, different skill sets. Like you could watch 3 star shows in a day by 3 different staff members, and they could be totally different. And also sort of led by their interests, which is great, because then they're just like sharing enthusiasm. So
yeah. And engaging adults is a different skill set sometimes, right? Like we see that a lot in Discovery Lab, because it's very it really encourages the family learning in there, because we do have staff in there, but they're not like teaching necessarily like all the children at once. It's more like, come in, do the activity, and everybody's kind of working at their own pace, and our staff members kind of floating to help where needed. But that leads to the parents really taking on kind of an active role in supporting their child to do the activity. And so, getting those adults engaged in that programming, we really see that a lot in Discovery Lab for sure.
So what is there anything else you want anyone to know about the space? Is there anything coming down the pipeline? Potentially, is there going to be an outdoor space?
Yeah, so that would definitely be phase 2. We do have the outdoor patio space available. That's next step. So I don't have a timeline on that yet, but we're definitely hopeful for that. We do have some new art installations that went up that Beale High School art students did. So they're digital interactives that you can see. So those are really cool. We have a new astronaut glove interactive that's on its way. So definitely things coming. Things are always evolving. We're not redoing any major exhibits at this point.
I hope not.
We're still kind of happy with where we are. But always
evolving.
Things happening. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's spaces that are within the exhibits that are designed to do that kind of turnover. Like you may have noticed in the market, we have kind of one vendor section that has changed a couple times. Just to stay current. Even the food in the little restaurant has changed out a couple times.
Changed menu.
Yeah.
Celebrate different celebrations in the house. So we're counting down Ramadan days right now in the house. Just a little calendar. We've got some Lunar New Year stuff up right now.
Yeah, and the schoolhouse right now too.
The schoolhouse for Black History Month. So we're highlighting different Black scientists and mathematicians and stuff like that. Cool. So always different things. Programs up and running. So we've got STEAM programs, we've got artifact spotlights, the EY programs,
fossil shows, discovery leaves.
Yeah. There's lots going on. You can check out our website.
Yeah. Amazing. I also think it's a fun little tip if you haven't visited. There's a lot of hidden secrets in
Mm-hmm.
the Children's Museum. A secret rooms
Mm-hmm.
and secret displays.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those artifact displays are a little walk down memory lane, making me feel old. That's something that in my childhood is now on display at a museum. So ouch, but it's okay. But I think it is so interesting from an adult perspective and the child perspective. It is an endless opportunity for play in that space. It's absolutely beautiful. You've done an incredible job creating a really true demonstration of childhood and play and what that means. And I can only imagine how much fun it must be to just see the joy in children's faces every time you're at work. Which is such a cool thing.
Yeah, even just seeing them interact in a space that's like purpose built for children. Like we don't often see that show up in like the general community. Like small things like our bathrooms having like lower sinks, like not having to get a stool to reach things that you want to reach. It's like small things like that, right? Where it's like, no, this was built for you, and then we're glad you're here. And it's just like we don't need to make accommodations to the physical building, right? It's like it's built for you.
And I think that's so important. I know I've had a couple of my colleagues who have visited like Reggio Emilia or in Italy, and one of my colleagues had noted like just the fact that a restaurant or wherever have a child-sized store and an adult-sized store. And there's hooks at restaurants for children at children's level. Like it shows us that we are viewing children as equal members of our community and society, whereas in regular London, when you go to a restaurant, that's not the case.
Right. You get a booster, right? It's
And
like
get a booster. There's nowhere for Mac to hang his hook, his coat on a hook. I have to hang it for him because it's out of reach. It really illuminates for us that, I think you said it so well, that this was built for children. By children and for children because they matter and they're an equal member of our community and they deserve a place that's for them.
Yeah, and it shows up in like the things like the sinks that are important for sure, but it also shows up in like the playful things, right? Like there's exhibit cases that are quite low or that light up when you walk past, like stuff like that, right? Where it's like the likely person to notice that first is a child, not an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all for the incredible work you do and for creating such an incredible space. And I hope if you are listening and haven't been yet, that you go check it out. Grab a guest pass or grab a child. Don't steal one, but when you know, and take them to the Children's Museum. You can take mine. It's fine. And yeah, I really enjoy this space for all it is. I think it is one of those things where you gotta go a couple times because you will linger in spaces of interest and you might not cover the whole space in your first visit. So you got to kind of keep coming back and see where the adventure takes you, which is really cool.
Yeah, follow their lead, right?
Exactly. It's all about the child. I love it. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. You can connect with us on Instagram at Leading Inspired Learning Pod or on our website at strive.co.ca/podcast. I would love to have you tell a friend or colleague about this podcast. Thanks again for listening. Please join us next time.